right next to me. I was like, oh my, that's God. That's God right there. He said, yes. And I was like, what is it? Do you want me to help solve world hunger or all like cancer or all these horrible things going on in the world? And God was like, no, Deion, I have something far more important. A mission only something you can do that's way more important than all the horrible things going on in the world that I should be concerning myself with. I said, what, God? He said, you need to take the head coaching job at the University of Colorado. Now, if you're a reasonable human being with an IQ above 70, I'm not telling you anything you don't know. That guy right there, Mr. Deion Sanders, is not a head football coach. And the title of the video isn't clickbait. And you would be right to think it is. I'm not making this up. Deion Sanders has never made a single, zero, in-home recruiting visits in his entire time at the University of Colorado. Let that sink in. Me, you watching this video have made the same number of in-home recruiting visits as Deion Sanders has at Colorado. So when I say the man's not a head coach, I'm not making that up. He's telling you that he's not a head coach. And look, I live in Atlanta. If you haven't seen my channel before, I'm a Georgia Tech guy. I can remember growing up watching Deion Sanders play for the Falcons one day, play for the Braves the next. And I feel like I speak for a lot of people when I say, love Deion Sanders, the player, one of the most entertaining, electric players of that era, of all time. But here's the thing. In general, really, really good college football players, pro football players, players in general, do not make really, really good head coaches. Think about it. How many like Heisman Trophy winning college football players have reached that same level of success, being a top tier head coach? The only one that comes to my mind is Steve Spurrier, won a Heisman Trophy in the 60s, way back when Deion still had all his toes. So this is not going to work out. Deion Sanders is absolutely going to implode this season. I mean, not making a single in-home recruiting visit when that's what he was touted for as to why you're justifying this hire. Make no mistake about it. The guy has been put in a position that he doesn't have the experience for. He has 1 year of Division I head coaching experience. Usually you need a decade or more of being a coordinator, working your way up the ranks in D1 college football before you ever sniff a head coaching job, and you've had success all along the way. Deion doesn't have any of that. Yeah, he was at Jackson State, where he was, 2 letter grades more talented than everyone he played and still couldn't win it all. Before that, and I'm not making this up, created a school that was literally a fraud for his son to play at. Doesn't exist anymore. I don't even think they had classes or anything. It was just existed on paper and to play football. Shadur's never played on a team his dad didn't coach. This is all insane. Not making a single in-home recruiting visit is like saying, I'm a mechanic. I've never picked up a wrench before, though. I've been a hooker for 10 years, but I'm still a virgin. And that's basically what I'm saying about Deion Sanders. As it pertains to being a head football coach, he's a virgin. Doesn't have any experience. And almost every decision he makes and every time he opens up his mouth demonstrates that fact. The only thing worth watching about Colorado last year was their offense. Shadur Sanders is a great quarterback. And what does Deion do? Fires the only coach on his staff that has a damn clue what he's doing. You don't think that gets around? You don't think he's going to have trouble hiring coordinators now? Because he didn't like the way the guy was handling his son, Shadur. And I think he's holding Shadur back. You can't talk about Shadur Sanders without talking about the antics of his father now. Oh, he's a consensus number 1 overall pick in the draft. Is he? Let's even say he was clearly that much more talented than everyone else. If you're drafting at the number 1 spot, Do you want to deal with Deion Sanders nonsense that comes with it? I know I don't. I'll pass and take the next guy. Deion Sanders is going to implode this year. And look, this isn't new for me. I'll cut in a clip of when there was speculation of Georgia Tech hiring him. And I said, no, I'm not sad that we didn't hire him. And I've been being proven right. I am not heartbroken at all that Georgia Tech did not hire Deion Sanders. After what I saw, how he addressed the current players on, see, I'm going to get fired up. He did improve the team last year, but he completely undoes that with all his nonsense. This is what he said in defense of not making a single in-home recruiting visit. I really, truly, in all my heart believe parents don't want me at their house, he said to reporters in response to the article, according to On3. They want to come see my house. They want to see how I live, how I get down. They want to see what I've got going on, what God has done in my life. And that's the one thing that probably irritates me the most with Deion Sanders. He acts like he's on some crusade or pilgrimage from God to restore college football to whatever he thinks it should be. Stop using God to try and justify your stupidity. It stands on its own. Don't sully God's name with your antics. He goes on to say, we target mostly guys in the portal. When do you make visits to portal guys' homes? Anyone do that? Have you guys ever heard of that? No, what we've never heard of is not making a single in-home visit in your entire coaching tenure at a school. That's what we've never heard of. And again, this is what was used as this justification for why a program should take a chance on him, given that he doesn't have a lot of experience. Oh, he's going to be immediately one of the elite recruiters. Josh Pate said this. What are all these guys saying now?
Yeah, I'm somewhat concerned when you've only got 6 high school players in your recruiting class and you're ranked 111th in recruiting. It concerns me a little bit, but you know what I've learned? I have learned to refuse to apply conventional wisdom to Deion Sanders.
Are you sure about that?
It gets worse. He defends getting in Twitter spats with people leaving, recruits, him and his son, I guess, just get on Twitter every day and argue with people, which is literally, you know how I know that that's idiotic? Because that sounds like something I would do. I did that yesterday. Deion Sanders should not aspire to do the same things that an absolutely irrelevant, no-name YouTuber does. But he is. He's come down to my level. He says, I got to do better on that and not ride with it. But I was bored. I was bored and I didn't say nothing hurtful. I don't attack people. This is so dumb, you should be able to fire him for cause, for even thinking about saying this. Can you imagine people like Nick Saban, Kirby Smart, I'm trying to think of Dabo Sweeney saying, yeah, I just was bored one day. And it kind of makes me think, does the guy just not put in the work at Colorado or doesn't want to put in the work? I cannot imagine a coach of a Division I football program saying, yeah, I got bored and so I got on Twitter when he doesn't make a single in-home recruiting visit. This ain't going to work out. And let's look at their schedule. All right. Because this schedule's harder than I thought. Look, they're not in the Pac anymore. I thought, well, they're in the Big 12. Maybe they'll have an easier path. Not really. Open up with North Dakota State. They're at the top of their division, but it's a team they should beat. Go on the road at Nebraska. They've got the number one, I know, quarterback recruit in the country there in Dylan Raiola. He might be the number one recruit of last cycle. I'm not sure. That's not going to be an easy game. Matt Rule might have been an awful pro football coach, but he's a hell of a college football coach. At Colorado State, probably a game they should win. Believe they struggled with them last year, though. I don't know a lot about Baylor. Central Florida's on the uprise. A lot of buy-in to that program. Gus Malzahn's doing a lot of good things at Central Florida. Then they get a bye, and they go through an absolutely brutal stretch. They got number 20 Kansas State at home. Go on the road, number 11 Arizona. Come back home and play Cincinnati, who's got Luke Fickell. They'll be better coached. That's probably a game they'll lose too. They get a bye at Texas Tech, and then look at this. They get Utah at home, one of the best teams in the country, in my opinion. Utah, I'm a fan of Utah. Utah's always really well coached. They recruit well for the area they're in. Utah is going to beat the ever-loving crap out of Colorado. Whatever the line is, it won't be enough. Take the over. At Kansas City, at Kansas City, at Kansas, coached by the Leopold guy. They'll be well coached. That's another loss. Oklahoma State. So what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Bare minimum, there's 6 losses. And he's not going to win all the games he quote unquote should win. He's not going to go bowling this year either. And this is my prediction. Around after he gets the ever-loving daylights beat out of him in mid-October at Arizona, you're going to see the real Deion come out. You're going to see him start blaming everyone but him. You're going to see him start making all these excuses for why things aren't going the way they are and why he's not doing what basic things other head coaches do. And there's going to be a mass exodus. Like, this is the last year anyone's going to give Deion the benefit of the doubt. I'm not saying he'll be gone after this year, but look, coaching, recruiting, none of that is even in the top 5 of Deion's priority. Deion's first priority is Deion. The minute he got on campus, he had his son's media come in, film him absolutely berate a bunch of players. And in his defense, he didn't do anything other coaches don't do and tell people to leave, they're not going to play. But other coaches aren't dumb enough to film it and put it on their son's YouTube account. People even already saying, man, I'm tired of the Deion Sanders show. I'm tired of the nepotism. It's going to go down in flames this year. And I just wanted to put this on the record, all right, as predicting this absolute debacle. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you're a fan of Deion Sanders, I'd love to see you try and defend your coach not doing the absolute bare minimum that literally every other head coach in the country does. Yeah, see you guys next time.